let's talk about this Ironmouse situation. Now, I'm not familiar with this game that
I
she was
wasn't
associated with.
either. I wasn't either. I made myself familiar. I looked into it briefly. It's just background elements that used AI from the
Okay.
looks of it.
So, VTuber Ironmouse, we've talked about Ironmouse on
Mhm.
the show, huge VTuber, had
Big.
a sponsorship in
Big one.
place with Neverness, Neverness to Everness
Mm.
here, and claims they lied to her about their use of AI. She said, they had told my people there was no AI in it. I didn't know until I saw that thing on Twitter after the stream over here. So she went in and addressed the controversy. I guess she is very anti AI. Is that
Mhm.
correct? Yes.
Yeah, it's like a very prominent standpoint online to be anti-AI because it's going to take jobs. And like, although that's true, I think there's an inevitability to it. And it's like you have to accept it to some extent because like bigger platforms than you and bigger corporations than you are definitely going to use it. You know what I mean? So this studio that made this game, they've got about 400 people and they work on 2 high quality productions. So the level of which they used AI, I don't really think is that big of an issue. Like it's like background elements that really, if the AI didn't do it, it literally might not have just existed at all, or it would have been like a much lower quality, like, you know, doodle drawing. And some people might argue that's better, but like, you know, if these devs want to create like a high quality franchise with less people than a AAA studio, I find it weird because now they've come out and they're going to remove the AI, you know. And at the end of the day, to me that normalizes just overtime hours for artists when you're nitpicking like incidental stuff from the background as AI and therefore the game is made with AI. To me that's just like a finishing touch. It was polished up a bit, but overall the whole game was made by people, you know. So I don't know, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But
So this apparently is, let's see, isn't this the most obvious usage of Gen AI? Not even hiding it. Let's see.
and it is pretty clearly generative AI here. Not here, but this right here.
Hello, everyone. I am Giovanni Dvorak. In this game, you just need to select what you want and bring them out safely. It's simple and fun. I know you're feeling nervous, just like when I was about to confess to my now wife.
Okay.
So
All right. So
that was AI.
yeah. Right. So the controversy is that they're using AI, and she based off of
Was
her,
lied to.
she feels lied to.
Hmm.
Right.
And again, like it could have been a miscommunication at that point too, because when you're talking to a company for sponsorship, you're not talking to the artists, you're not talking to the production team, you're talking to the manager, you know, the production assistant or something like who doesn't even really know all the aspects of production other than the broad strokes. Like that person might not even known there was AI. It might have been a last minute thing. The whole thing just kind of felt stinky to me. Because again, like I want smaller studios like this. They're not quite an indie studio, but and some people have argued with me on this. I would say they're still small. Having a couple hundred workers, you're small. Like Ubisoft has thousands of people. You're not a AAA studio. So to me, this inhibits growth to smaller studios when you take away assets that can make them make higher quality content in like a pace that can match like a AAA studio or best them. You know, I don't know.
Well, that's tricky, right? Because look, Phoenix is very anti AI, right?
Hmm. AI took
Now,
my job.
really, tell me,
Yes.
tell me
I was an
more.
animator. So like I don't know, like the animation industry is completely upset because of it. Um and I just don't see a reality where I'm ever going to go back to work though and not be expected to use AI. Just having been in animation as tools become available. I mean, I got into animation thinking I was going to do 2D drawings, and by the time I got in, I was moving puppets around. You know, so
Right.
things change, and as technology grows, it's like the studios still have this expectation of like we want to get this thing done now in 2 weeks. We used to do 2 months an episode, 2 weeks now. We know you got the tools. So they're always
Right.
going to have that expectation of a tighter deadline. Can I have something that is going to make it easier to hit those deadlines? Can I have something that takes away C scenes so I can focus on A scenes? I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing because I worked overtime so much for free because at the end of the day, clients are going to want a certain expectation. And if you can't
Mhm.
provide them that expectation, they don't change. And it's either you're going to walk away from your job or you're going to make the change to the scene to bring them the quality they want. So to me, I'm not fully against a tool that can improve an existing artist's like work conditions, essentially. Like, so I think there's a nuance in between where AI doesn't necessarily take jobs, but makes jobs more doable for artists.
This is interesting because we like literally right now, we are exploring the idea of using AI to create some like meme games, right? We want to kind of create some fun, like, wouldn't it be funny to, we look at it as like marketing, right? For side scrollers, creating some fun little meme games and stuff and leveraging AI to do that. But AI is one of those things where people are very opinionated about it.
Oh yeah, no, and definitely. Yeah. And it makes sense given how it was trained. It was very unethical the way they trained a lot of these art models. But I find it's interesting that that's not applied to the way the speech models were trained. Or like you don't see people whining and complaining about coding models. When people are like, oh, it codes free, no one's complaining about that. But, I see a lot for the art.
So she dropped her sponsor. They were paying her to play the game, promote the game, and there was backlash to it. And Neverness, the Everness, the devs have responded to this, and they've actually said, we've already reviewing and reworking the flagged assets. Your feedback shapes this game, so please keep it coming. We're listening over here.
Yeah. So they're willing to change.
Yeah. My only question is, and Craig, someone maybe can answer this. Like, so yeah, my opinions on AI completely aside. What I don't understand is why does a company need to tell you how they're making their art assets? Like, if a company, in my opinion, wants to use AI, go for it. If that's what you want to do, great. I don't understand why they're supposed to tell you if they're using them or not.
I think that some people probably see it as an ethical thing, right? The idea that you are
too bad, like that,
right?
It's like needing to play a game based on how much do you pay the salary of your employees.
Right.
Like, that's not up to you, brother. Like, just do you like the game or not? If something looks a little off to you, certainly say that. Say up front in your article or your review, listen, me personally, I'm not for, let's say, AI. It did seem like some elements in there did seem a little AI. That's not my cup of tea. I would prefer the likes of games like X, Y, Z. But I don't understand why a company is supposed to disclose to you how they make their assets, so long as everything is, above board, you're paying their employees and also like, I personally don't understand that, like why they're even responding to it.
Well, okay, so this is kind of interesting, right? Because I go back, this is such a weird conversation when it comes to the use of AI, right?
I think it's interesting too, because it's as people are typing on a phone where the majority of the precious materials are mined by children. Like everything comes back to that when you start trying to be the social justice savior. It's like, everything's
okay. I'm not a so I'm not a VTuber, right? I do have an excellent VTuber model, though. Thank you, Phoenix, for that. Nainus, curious, do you feel like when you blink, when you move left and right, your model follows you? Isn't that technically
it's AI?
It
is. It is AI. Right? It's indeed. Yeah. Most things are AI right now. Like, yeah.
Right. So isn't Ironmouse? Yeah. Isn't Ironmouse also using AI? Phoenix, you say no?
This is not the same example.
Because it's like, this is like an AI algorithm tuned to track versus like, again, the ethical reason people hate art models is because it was trained on people's art without their permission and they weren't paid.
Got it. That makes sense. Yeah.
So again, there's a huge difference. I say this all the time. There's an enormous difference between a tool. A hammer is a tool. If you leave a hammer on a table, it literally does nothing. But when you give it to somebody and they bang things, they can make stuff, right? So if a tool that literally designs everything, comes up with everything, voices everything, makes the artwork for everything, animates everything, codes everything, that's not a tool anymore. It's an absolute replacement. That's not a tool. So just a technology that is able to track someone so as to help out so that the movement of their body is more lifelike. That is absolutely a tool. But if it were to make the VTuber, add the voice, add the personality, make its own channel, do all that stuff, now it's not a tool anymore. It's a completely different thing.
This is I'll tell you what, I'm with you, Nainus. It's not going to go away.
That's the thing. Like, because my personal feelings on the matter, it took my fucking job. Of course I'm pissed off, but being pissed off isn't going to be anything productive for me. Like, I can only wallow in depression for so long before I'm going to have to move on and just accept reality or just be the maker of my own insanity. Like, it did take me a month or two to come around, but like at some point I had to realize it was futile. And like, what am I doing hurting myself when, like, regardless of how I feel, it's happening. So like, you know, at the end of the day, reality has a lot of say on my decision making. My personal opinion of the matter, yeah, it sucks. I'd love to be hand drawing animation right now. That's what I wanted to do when I grew up. But this is the reality I've been served. So for me, it's like working in the teams was the fun thing, because people are like, oh, do it yourself. But it was like, there's something about a team environment when you're a creative person and bouncing your ideas off of someone. Like, it's just part of the creative process. And without that, some people just don't have that spark. And I sadly don't. Like, I needed my team. So now I look at AI as a tool. So I find it interesting. I think regarding on how it's used, it's a tool or not. Instead of a hammer, maybe it's a power tool. I think I could still use AI to have a smaller team to facilitate a studio environment and get a product out, versus like having run budgets before in the past, because my last job was as a director. I know how much it costs just to make even a minute of animation, and I can't hire for that. So like, I think I see it as a tool to get independent artists together to be able to make stuff where you're still creating some of the art assets, but maybe backgrounds are assisted, or like incidental elements are aiding you. And I think when people have this mindset that if there's an element of AI at all, it's bad, it just shoots smaller people in the foot, and bigger corporations are going to be using it anyways and getting rid of jobs. So like, I think people need to like almost like self-arm and like use it for yourself before someone else replaces you with it. But that's just, again, my opinion based off of my situation, having been replaced by it. And, you know, it is
the thing about the power tool thing, though, again, though, like if you give someone who was, you know, using a device before a power tool, and then you gave them a power tool and you told them to make something, if you were to clone that person 11,000 times, they'd still make the exact same thing with that power tool. If you give the same prompt to 10,000 different prompters, they come up with 10,000 different things. Meaning the artist's vision is not translated. If you take Steven Spielberg, I clone him 1,000 times, he makes 1,000 of the exact same thing. But if you make 1,000 AI Steven Spielbergs, you get 1,000 different interpretations. You'll see this even with song lyrics, that you pop in a famous song and it gives you 40 different versions of it that were never what it actually was, right? So it is altering the vision of the artist. And that's all I care about. I actually don't give a shit about jobs. I could care less. I only care about that you're changing the vision of the art. So that's my particular thing. And everyone says, well, it's inevitable. Sure, so is death. Don't chain smoke to get there faster.
Well, I think it's interesting. I think because there's the thing is that it's going to be used to replace you. So if you use it to benefit yourself, why is that such a bad thing? It's going to exist and do these things regardless of how you feel. So I think I'm sad when I see people frown at smaller entities trying to use it to empower themselves, while clearly still, like, the game was like, it was like 0.1% of the game, you know, and considering all of the planning, the character designing, the world development, the story, actually having to code it all and write it. These incidental elements are AI. This game is not made with AI. There was like a small polish added on the end. And I think if the whole thing was made with AI, it would be a different story, but that's not what would happen here.
What is the most useless thing in an AI process? You. Yes. Yeah.
Does the AI run without you to prompt it, though?
Very soon.
Oh, yeah. Actually, my husband has a model that's
doing that. And so you are not
that.
required. You're getting in the way of it. You're too slow.
Yeah, but I mean, that's going to happen regardless. Like, what's your solution?
Start chain smoking.
What's your solution, though, then, if that's your stance on AI and you don't want to adopt it? So what are you...
Well, I adapt to it with this job all the time.
What are you to do to stop people from using it regardless of how you feel?
I don't care at all what other people do ever in my life. I care about my morals and my principles. And for me, when I make something that's from my brain, I don't want someone else's voice getting in the way of that. So that's all I care. If I was you, I would be animating myself. I'd be getting a bunch of other 2D artists.
And I think, but that's the thing,
I
would, but like, so that's what I say when I say incidental. Like, I would still be handling the majority of the work. But again, to sit down and do backgrounds, you might find yourself doing backgrounds for 80 hours. So is it really such a bad thing if I have backgrounds generated that my characters act on top of?
Because the background is just as
important. But then you said it
foreground.
didn't matter what other people did. Why does it bother you that
I don't care. Right. No,
in?
I'm even defending. Just remember, I'm even saying I don't even know why the company even has to disclose this. So I'm all for you. You want to do AI? Great, more power to you. 100%. But no, but to say that the background is just no, the background is just as important as the foreground.
I love the conversation here. Love it. Let's see if we can to add a third voice to this conversation. Asmongold chimed in on this, and I'm curious to hear what he had to say.
AI is going to be used with everything. Every company is going to be using AI. There's not going to be a company that isn't using AI. I mean, for example, Ironmouse has YouTube videos, right? Like, let me see if I can just pull up, I'll give you an example, right? You probably have, if you go through this, there's a transcript, right? And all this is transcripted. Like this is done with technology, right? It's done with some form of AI. Same with, like subtitles and everything like that. And you have all of these instances of people that are basically fishes complaining about water whenever they're able to perceive it. But I think the reality is that we're totally surrounded by AI. AI is part of our everyday lives already. Like if you're using Twitter, your information and what you're typing and saying is being fed directly into Grok, for example. And so there's nothing that you can really do to get away from it. So drawing these imaginary lines in the sand about AI doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because how can you have a platform and have an internet presence on a platform that, basically is being used for AI generation? You're uploading content onto a platform that is, actively using your content for AI generation. They're obviously doing this, like, duh. And so, but you're going to draw the line at a video game making an AI billboard.
That's true. And again, too, as much as we were talking earlier about how face tracking is a tool and it's being used, I think you can argue there is a loss of jobs happening, and it is more egregious because all of the subnets or like all of the services that run the internet, you know how AWS has had outages and stuff? It was because they left one of these coding agents running, like a cursor agent or whatever it was, and it deleted part of a repo that then had to be, reconstructed and fixed or whatever it was, like patched. But so that by interacting with the internet, you are using these services. Therefore, you are already condoning people's loss of jobs to AI. So I see what he's saying, where it's performative. Like we're all inevitably taking part in this.
I'll tell you this. Online. As far as the right and wrong answer to AI, I think everybody's right and wrong when it comes to that. It just comes down to your personal stance. Do you like?
Well, yeah. It sucks to be replaced. I think that's natural. People are going to hate it because it sucks to be replaced. And again, I don't necessarily love that it happened. I'm just accepting it happened and I can't change it. I'd love to go back in time if I could. Don't get me wrong.
Man.
But it is what it is. The cat's out of the bag. What do you do?
Right.
You don't. And then you could, just a heads up. So one thing you can do is, if you're willing to take the bet. Now, a guy like me, I would take the bet, is you make your own stuff. You stick to your principles. You make that and you put it out there, and you hope to God that one day turns out that people wanted what you were doing and not this AI stuff. Now, again, as someone like me, I never have ever, not once, given a single shit what anyone thought about me. Don't care at all. Zero. I just make what I want to make, and that's what's important to me. If the idea is success, yes, there's no question. If you're not using AI right now, you are going to lose 100%. And I've never judged people who use AI. More power to them. The only thing I object to is when someone says, I made. No, you didn't. You
100%. I always say, too, it's when you generate a scene, I don't really like when people say, look what I animated. It's like, you prompted it. Let's be for real here. So yeah, I do think like the verbiage is a bit silly. I can agree with you there, and I can see like more now. I was just trying to understand your point of view too. Like I don't disagree with you. Don't get me wrong.
We're on the same page because again, I don't even. Again, that's fine if people use it.
Exactly. Yeah, I completely.
%.
Life is too short to make everyone's problem your problem. Like you can't. You gotta prioritize some shit. If people who hyperfixate on these things, like I worry about them. Like please go outside. I know it's a meme to say touch grass, but I truly think people need to touch grass. Like it isn't just a meme. Like it's an actual thing. It's a problem.
On a quick side note on this, by the way, I love that we can have a discussion like this where
I
not
love
everybody
fighting this
aligns.
Phoenix guy already.
We're not even fighting. But
I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. No, I just say I've seen people go back in the chat, so I just thought,